Okay, let me start on the Essbase part. Okay,
Mhm.
so already we discussed about the Essbase architecture. Okay, so we had admin services. Here we go that Essbase Studio, and here we go Essbase Server. So for the Essbase Studio, we get the data from the relational database or the PA. Okay, so there are few data source used in the Essbase Studio. Okay, so from the Essbase Studio, actually Essbase Studio mainly used for updating that fact tables, or if we are doing that any dimensional changes, or if you want to build that own outline, will be do it through the Essbase Studio. Okay, so from the Essbase Studio, we load that fact details into the Essbase server. Okay, from the Essbase server, we'll be doing all the reporting. Okay, so there are many methods to update that outline in an Essbase, like using that data load rule or the dimensional rule, load rule. We can update that metadata, and also that the latest version, just using the smart view, we can update that metadata. Okay, but that Essbase Studio provides more features. Okay, so in the studio, we can create OLAP model. Okay, we get the data from many relational tables and build that mini schema or that OLAP model. Okay, so using the OLAP model, we'll be deploying that outline into Essbase server, Essbase application. So data sources are, we can pull the data from Oracle tables, or we can use BN, or we can there are around more than 5 data source we can use it in Essbase application. Okay, so um, I'll be using Oracle system as a data source. From the Oracle, I will fetch that fact tables. Okay, so in the fact table, it has all that metadata details like measure dimensions, product details, and sales. All the information will be kept in that Oracle relational tables. Okay, from the table, I'll be building that OLAP model. Here we call it as that schema. It has all the hierarchy informations. Okay, if it is account, under the account, you will be having the balance sheet, income statement, and other details, right? So it has all the hierarchy information in the OLAP model. It's like a outline. Okay, so once we build that OLAP model of the outline, we will be deploying that model into Essbase Cube. So once it's deployed, we should be able to view that outline in Essbase console. Okay, so you remember earlier, or like we opened the Essbase console, we tried to update all that dimension and its member details. Like we can update that member properties through the console. Okay, and also using the smart view, we can update the metadata. Okay, but if we are using the Essbase Studio, just we can update everything in the Essbase Studio. We will be maintaining all the outline details in the Essbase Studio. You don't need to open console, and you don't need to add anything in that through the console. Okay, so if you want to add new member, just you can open Studio and update that. Okay, and also whenever you do the deploy, right, just you can remove the existing Essbase application and recreate it from the Essbase Studio. Okay, for example, you want to create some new hierarchy. Okay, so that will be added through the Essbase Studio. You don't need to use any rules or a console to update that. Okay, so that's the purpose of the Essbase Studio. So in Essbase Studio, we go 3 parts. Okay, so the first one is data source. So in the right side panel, you'll be seeing the data source. It's we call it a source navigator. Okay, so on the left side, we have that metadata navigator. So and in the middle, we have the work area. In work area, we will be creating all that OLAP model. That is the outline. Okay, and also we'll be creating mini schema, hierarchy. All if you want to update the properties, everything will be done in the work area. Okay. So in the first step, you have to create a source connection. Okay. So this is the Space Studio workflow. First, we'll be creating data source connections, and after that, we'll be updating that metadata properties detail, member properties details, and also if we have any alias, okay, the description for member, you can add it in that alias set, and we'll be creating hierarchy. Okay. For example, for the year, we'll be having a hierarchy, so that will be designed in that hierarchy folder, and we can create or edit cubes, okay, the cube schema, okay. And next we'll be updating the database properties, okay. For each and every member we go to provide the data storage and consolidated properties, okay. And once everything completed, we can deploy the cubes into space applications, okay. And just we can the deployed applications to the space console, and also we can create drill through reports. So these are the data source supported in the Space Studio, okay. So the first one is Oracle database. Mostly we will be using the Oracle database, and this is Oracle OBA. And the next one we'll be using Microsoft SQL Server, okay. And also we can use some text files as a source database. And other system, I never used that, okay. And also we can use Oracle EPM architect, okay. So um, so whatever we are working right, so uh, you have a space and planning application, okay. So that is installed and configured as on-premise applications. On-premise, it is standard application, okay. So that is another concept, we call it as EPMA, okay. That is yes, enterprise performance management architect, okay. So under that EPMA we will be installing all that Hyperion applications like Essbase, planning, HFM, and FTME. Okay, so the EPM is like we call it as EPM architect. Okay, so that EPM architect has that centralized library. Okay, it has that dimensional library, and it has a application library, and also it has calculation manager. It has shared services. So in standard applications, for each and every application, you have to create one outline. We got to create we're going to define that standard dimensions and attribute dimensions, okay. But if you're using EPMA, you can have one common library, okay. For example, if you want to update the dimension for a space, you can deploy it from the dimension library, okay. So all the dimension will be shared with all these Hyperion applications, okay. So for in all these four applications, the standard dimension will be common, okay. For example, in all the applications, they will be using account, scenario, entity, year, period, okay. So for all these four applications, they will get the dimension from dimension library, okay. So every time you go to refresh it daily, we will do the dimension library, and that will those dimensions, the new members will be automatically deployed into that on-premise standard applications. And also we can have create a common application. That application can be deployed to space application or planning applications, okay. And also we can have one like common calculation manager, and we can execute the script up as per that application type, okay. So and also we can do that security provisioning use through the shared services, okay. We don't need to have the separate dimensional library for each application. Just we can have the one common library and manage it, okay. So this is we call it as CPMA. And mostly recently we are using only the standard applications, okay. We'll be installing the test based applications and doing all that diamond metadata update individually, okay. It will be each application has a separate console tool to update the metadata. And this is the Space Studio interface, okay. So in that metadata navigator, sorry, in that data source navigator, we go that data source folder. So if you want to create the data source, just right click on that, and you go to select whether it's Oracle data source or the BA data source. So based on the data source, we go to set that create the data source. So just I have right clicked on that data source. I am providing that connects the name and description. Here I have selected data source type. Okay. So for that selected data source, you go to provide the service name, username, password. Okay, you go to provide all the details and create that connection. Okay, so once you have created connection, you should be able to see all the tables. So all the tables which are available in that data source. Okay, so these are the tables: family, market, measures. Okay, so under these tables we have that column. For example, just I have expanded that family tables. Under the family, we go four columns. Okay, so these columns will be created as members in the Essbase applications. And also, you can just right click on that table. You can preview the data. So the family table has the uh, these records. Okay, it has four records, and also we can create mini schema under the data source. Okay, so like use by joining that multiple tables, we can create a mini schema. For example, here we go almost we go use join in all the tables. Okay, so this is a sales fact table, and this is the measures, suppliers, sales table. So just to, we go created join with all the tables and created one mini schema. Okay. So maybe if you want to remove join or if you want to add join, just right click on that any table. I can and you can create all that join all that functionality. Like you can create join or you can delete the schema, or you can, if you want to preview the data, just right click on it and click on the view sample data. It will provide it will preview the data. Okay. So this is the sample data from the mini schema, and also we can update that mini schema properties. Like actually, this mini schema is created based on the column state ID. Okay, using the state ID, we have created the joining. Okay, and also you can add multiple column in that join. Now we have created the data source. So the next steps will be creating that the cube structure. That is we call it as cube schema. Okay, so under that root folder, we can create the other folder structure. Like these are the member details, the dimension details. Like under the DBC source, I have create a family sales fact supply. These are the dimension folder. Okay, dimension means these tables come from the data sources. Just you can track that table and put it under the DBC source. Okay, so the whatever we have it in the data source, the same structure will be created in that root folder. Okay, in that metadata structure, and we can create hierarchy folder. And here we can create a cube schema, and also we can enable drill through report. Okay, and if you want to create any LS sets, we can do that. Okay, and here we have that list of dimensions elements. Now, see, to create that dimension, just you can drag and drop the tables from the data source and put it in that metadata navigator. Now I have created all the dimension as its member details. If you want to edit that property, just right click on that member and go to edit properties. Okay. So here you can change the name, and also you can see that table details from where it comes from. Okay. And also you can update the alias details in the alias tab. So, and also you can add a new member, or just you can delete the member. Just right click on the member. You can do all these things, like you can edit, copy, or you can rename the member. So I create a dimension. So the next step will be creating the hierarchy. Okay, and also in the work area, you can see all that wizard. Okay, first you will be creating data source wizard. Next, I can create mini schema, and also I can create a hierarchy. Uh, Mr. Hierarchy, like we have that account hierarchy, right? So that will be created through the Mr. Hierarchy. and after that we'll be creating cube schema. So just you could click on this link, and you can do all that things. Okay, and once you have created the cube schema, you can deploy that cube into Essbase console, the Essbase applications. Okay, so you can follow these steps as well. Okay, now I want to create a hierarchy. For example, I want to create a period hierarchy. Okay, so period has a uh, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, where we got the 4 quarters, and each quarter has 3 months, January, February, March, like that. Okay, so based on that period, I need to create a hierarchy. So just right click on that hierarchy, and you can click on the new menu. Here you can select that hierarchy. If it is account hierarchy, you can select that mission hierarchy, or if it is period hierarchy, you can select calendar hierarchy. Okay, if you want to create any other custom hierarchy, you can just click on hierarchy, and you can define that. You can add the members. Okay, so now I want to create a new hierarchy. Okay, called a period or something. Okay, so you go to provide a name for the hierarchy. So the name is period, and from that dimension, I mean period, I can drag and drop that member details into the hierarchy. Okay, first I create a year. Year is the root member. So next I'll be creating quarter. Okay, so just I'm placing the quarter next to the year, and after that I will be placing the month member under the quarter. Okay, now once you create a hierarchy, you can preview that member the hierarchy informations. Okay, so just click on the preview button, so it will give you the hierarchy details. Okay, so all this information comes from the data source. So in that fact table, we have all that period information. Okay, so as per the hierarchy, whatever we have design the hierarchy, it is it's previewing in that period hierarchy. And this is for the measure hierarchy. Okay, so under the measure we go the profit, and under profit we go margin, total expense. Okay, you can preview the data. Okay, so now I have created a hierarchy, and after the hierarchy, I'll be creating alias 6. Okay, for I have already we have one default alias in the Essbase application. You can use that, and so these are the dimensions which will be used in that alias table. Okay, family, SQA, supplier ID. Okay, if you want to add additional dimension, you can add it. And this is for the drill through reports. Okay, so you know about the drill through, right? So for example, we have loaded some metadata to space applications. Okay, so you want to know the source information for the specific member. If you have the drill through options enabled, just you can navigate back to the data source and get the information. Like for example, I want to get the details about one specific account. Okay, so in the test space, it will give only the overview of the account. Okay, if you want to get all the transaction details, just you can drill through that specific member, and you can just go back to the data source, and it will provide all that related information about the account. Okay, which cost center, profit center, and which customers made the sales. Okay, so it will give you the all the details. So in the drill through report, you go to provide what are the dimensions involved in the drill through reports. So in the here I have enabled accounts, period, product, supplier. Okay, so these hierarchy we have enabled in the drill through report. So you can run the reports, and you can get the details for these members. Okay, so it will fetch all that information from the data source and provide the details. Okay, it will provide the summaries. Okay, and also if you want to get that data, you can enable through in Essbase application. Okay, and the next one. Okay, so that's it. Now we go build a hierarchy, or we go enable through reports. We go set up alias, and already the dimension elements are defined. So based on this information, we'll be building the cube schema, that is Essbase applications outline. Okay, so just to right click, just click on the cube schema wizard. Okay, so it will it will ask you for the schema name, and it will give you the list of available dimension elements. Okay, so these are the elements we have already designed in the Essbase Studio. Okay, based on that, we have to design that cube schema. So I'm adding measure hierarchy as account, and also I'm adding other hierarchies, product, supplier, scenario. So these are the dimension element I'm going to use it in the cube. Okay, so just to select that all that dimensions. Okay, the dimension needed for the space application, and you can just click on the finish. Okay, so it will create that cube schema. And before creating the cube schema, right, you go to define the model type, whether it's aggregate storage or the black storage. Okay, so just select the create the space model, and select the model, click that model type. So this is the cube schema we have created. So these are the dimensions which will be created in Airspace applications. We have accounts, scenario, region, period, product, and supplier. Okay, and so similarly, we can create multiple schema. So based on the schema, just we can create Airspace applications. Okay. So now I have created a space schema, and using that cube deployment wizard, you can deploy that space cube schema into a space application. Okay. So after the deployment, you should be able to see that application's details in the Airspace console. So you go to log in into the Airspace console and see the application details. And if you want to update that member properties, okay, so maybe I want to update member properties of product members. So just go to the product member, product hierarchy. Okay. So just click on the specific dimension product, and if you click on that product, it will give you all that property details, like general. Under the general, you go the product name, alias details. So under the info, it will provide that information about each and every dimension and its member details. So this is standard dimensions. Okay. So, and also you go to set the dimension to type, whether it is fence type or the spots. Okay. And also here you can enable the auto post calculation, and here we set up the data storage. Okay, and by default it is set to store data, and if you want to update, you can enable other storage properties. Okay, similarly you can add formulas, alias, UDAs. Okay, and okay, so this is how we update the member properties in the studio. Okay, and for this members, we'll be updating that consolidation properties, where we can update addition, subtractions, multiplications. Okay, so this is for that member. So now we have created a cube schema, and after that we can deploy it into the space applications. That's it about our space studio. Okay, so these are the application creation process. Okay, already we go discuss,
Okay.
and these are the data source. We mostly will be using the relational database. So these are the schema. We go use multiple schema. Okay, we have created DBC2, DBC1. Similarly, you can create multiple schema. From that schema, you can build that Essbase applications. Okay, so these are the data source type available in Essbase Studio. So while you define that connection, right? You can select that appropriate data source type. Okay,
Right. Right. Right.
and it's a sample data, and this is a schema we have created. And here we can create that folder structure, like you can right click on the root folder, you can select the appropriate folder. Okay, if it is hierarchy, you want to create hierarchy folder. Okay, you will be seeing ops in the root folder itself. Okay, so these are the folder we'll be creating it. Okay, this is for creating the mini schema. Okay, based on the existing tables, we can create the mini schema. It's optional. Okay, yeah, actually,
Mm.
mostly you can play with the tables and create a cube schema. You don't need to create any mini schema. But if you're
Okay.
going to create any complex hierarchy, then you will be using the mini schema. Okay, because it will combine multiple tables and to provide that one fact table. Okay, using the fact table, you can create outline structure. So here we are selecting the fact tables. Okay. So like we have created the dimension, and there is one more property is called dimension solve order. Okay. In the outline we go like many dimensions. Okay. Account, entity, period, year. Okay. So suppose you are doing some aggregation or calculation. If it is BSO view, okay. If you're doing some calculations on that, during the calculation, first it will consider the account members for the calculation. Okay, because the account is a dense member, and as per the Essbase algorithm, always it will fetch the account member for the calculation. Okay, because it's a dense member. Next, it will fetch the sports member, that is the entity member. So as per the dimension type, it will fetch the dimension and members for the calculation. Okay, and if you provide that, set up that solve order, that dimension solve order, as per that, based on the number, it will take that, it will fetch that specific dimension for the calculations. For example, I set the value for the density to 100 or something. Okay, so here I set up like 105. Here I set up 10. Here I set up 5. Okay. So first it will take that account member for the calculation. Okay. And next it will take entity member. And third it will take year member. And finally it will take period member. Okay. If you want to set some calculation order for the dimension, you got to use that solve order. Okay. Dimension solve order. And also you can set up a member solve order. Here we can define the formulas for any dimension or any member. Okay. And here you can create UDS. UDS is user defined attributes. Here they are doing some transformation. Like here we can create the mapping. Right? Mapping, or if you want to add any prefix or suffix to the members, you can do it here. So here we are doing the cube deployment. Okay. For deploying the cube schema into Essbase application, first you go to provide the Essbase connection details. Okay, I have given my Essbase server detail, and also you go to provide that application name, database details. So once you specified all the details, just you can click on finish to create or to proceed with that cube. Okay, and also here we can load the data. So these are the load task type. We can do build outline or load data, and also we can do build outline and load data. We can do the both. Okay. So here using this deployment wizard, we can deploy that schema into Essbase applications. Okay. So once you deployed that Essbase application, you can view that cube details through the Essbase console. Yeah, this is how we create that the model Essbase cube schema. Okay. Here it looks very complicated. Okay, but actually it's very easy one. You can drag and drop all members and create that hierarchy, the cube schema. Yeah. So that's it about Essbase Studio. Next we'll discuss about migration wizard. Okay, so in the EAS, you should have an option to migrate all the aspect into some other application, and also you can migrate all that entire cube into some other environment. Maybe that you can migrate all the test aspect into prod environment. Okay, so a server to server migration or application to application migration, everything is can be done through a space migration wizard. Okay, so if we go to the open that Essbase console, just click on the file. Okay, and go to wizard, you'll be seeing the option called migration. Okay, so just click on that Essbase migration, and here you can set all the levels and server details. Once there are two options. If you want, you can migrate entire application into some other server, or you can do that application to application migration. Okay, so based on that option, you can set that user level. Okay, And here you will be providing that source Essbase server and the target Essbase server. If it is same, if you are doing that migration within that server, you will be providing the same server details here. Okay. And here you can execute the migration in the background once you set up all the details. Okay. And here we are setting server first, and next you will be providing the application details, and next you will be providing artifact details, like so we go that rule files, calculation script, FOS report scripts. Okay, so those details you go to select it under the selector object. Okay, and once you set up all the details, you can proceed with the migrations. And also you can migrate uh, space users and the groups. Okay. You remember we discussed about shared services. Okay. In the shared services, we can create users and the groups, a lot of things. Okay. Through the shared services also, we can perform the migration. But space migration provide only, here we can migrate only the space related artifact. Okay. In the shared services, it includes all the Hyperion applications like planning, space, foundation services, FTME. Okay, there are a lot of things in the shared services. But in space application, space migration, you can do only the space related application migration. Yeah. So here I set up, I already set up the server. Here I am providing that source application and the target applications. I am selecting that each and every artifact. Okay. If we don't want any specific aspect, just we can uncheck that. Okay. Now I go selected the artifact, and you can proceed with the migration. Okay. And also, if you want to migrate any specific user also, you can select it and proceed. Okay. So now I go migrated all the artifact. Next, I need to proceed with the data load. Okay. So, for example, I want to, this is a source system, this is a target system. Okay. So here I go artifact. So it will be migrated into the target system. And once you migrated you completed the migration with the artifact, next you go to proceed with the data load. Okay. So the same data should be loaded into the target application. So for that, because the data migration cannot be done through the Essbase migration wizard or the shared services. In shared services also, we go option to export the data. Okay, like we can export the Essbase data into some text file and import into the target. But but if you look at the Essbase file, right, it has more than 2 GB. If it's very big cube, there will be around 50 GB of data. Okay, so that cannot be done to the LCA migration. So for that, we go to write report script. Okay, or we can write export. We can export the data using calculation scripts. So using report script or the calculation script, you can export the data into some text file. Okay, and once the data is exported, we can import it directly into the target applications. Okay, so this is the calculation script. Okay, using the calculation script, and we can export the data into some specific file. We are using the export database command. Okay, here's the space calculation command. Using that, just we'll be exporting into the CSV file. Okay, and the another option is the report script. So in the report script, we go to define the page, column, and other member details, and we will be exporting the data into the text file. Okay, now that the file is ready for the import, so just go to the Essbase application database, right click on that. You will be seeing the option to load the data. Okay, so just click on the load data and you can import the data. So here we were discussing about the script part to export the data, and also there is another option to export the data from the source application. So just right click on the database, click on export. Okay, So you can export all data or the level 0 data. Okay. If it is all data, it will export the aggregated data as well. Okay. If it is level data, it will export only the data from the level 0 members. Those data are not aggregated. You can export a level 0 data and import into the target application. So in the target application, you can perform the aggregation. Okay. So the best way is to export the level 0 data and import into the target applications. Okay. So if you export all data, you don't need to perform any aggregation because already you are doing that aggregated data. You are doing the export of aggregated data. Okay. So input level data block, we never use that. Okay. So this is how you perform that Essbase migrations. Okay. You can do it within the application, or you can do that server to server migration using the migration method. So mostly you'll be doing it using the calculus scripts. Okay. If it is data, you'll be doing it through the calculus script. Okay. If it is a artifact, you will be doing it through the LCM, lifecycle management. Okay. So in the latest version, we don't have the test-based migration wizard. Okay, you can. It's a very older version, 9.31. Okay, you can check that wizard. Yeah. So that's it. All.